Did your faith play a big part in your career?
Massively. You know, I can remember 1995. I can remember signing a massive contract to go to the NRL when the Super League ARL war was going on, and you know, it was just madness. All of a sudden, the game flipped like that. You know, I was 20, 21, and I can remember, you know, I was being paid decent money. All of a sudden, it's like you need to sign for one of these before they come together and you lose out. And I can remember, you know, going to a solicitors in Bradford, you know, joining a long queue of rugby players just waiting to get into this office to see how much money we were going to get paid. And I remember going in there and it was just like, how much? Dear me, you know what I mean? And the wages just went, poof. And I signed a £1 million contract in 1995.
Wow.
And, you know, yeah, it was wow, because I come from council estates. So all of a sudden, within
21-year-old,
yeah.
£1 million contract in 95.
Well, it was over £1 million, but all of a sudden, you know, I wasn't prepared for it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't have the character for it. I was living on my own. I was, you know, people think that when these things happen, it's all great. It ended up becoming a lot bigger than I was. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You can't go from, I was, you know, under my mum's wing for 16, 17 years of my life. All of a sudden I move into this land of professionalism and TV and media and everything else. And, you know, I was taught, I was led to believe that when you have money, it will answer all your problems. Because we didn't have any money.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you know, at 21, I signed this big contract. And the problem then is, you know, there's so many people around you, so, you know, who's with me for the right reasons. And I didn't have, you know, a good network around me. You know, I had no one to just give me a slap round the head and say, come on, just rein it in a bit. What are you doing? You know, and then, you know, if there's ever any problems, it's a case of, right, well, let's go for a beer. You know, and people just thinking they're doing well. But actually, I didn't need another beer. I needed help. And there's so much talk now about mental health issues and everything else. But, you know, there was me, and you would have thought that would be the key time of your life and everything was great. When actually that was the toughest, probably the toughest year I've had. And yes, I went out and I bought a nice car and everything else. But, you know, inside I was so empty. So for me, when Inga played a massive part in my life, because you know the environment, you know, you normally get the respect from the boys if you can drink the most, you know, you can pull the most women, you know, you got the best car or whatever. Whereas when I saw him, I thought, you know, what is it about you? How come that you come to this, you know, training ground or wherever we are, and you are the happiest person every day? You know, you're not driving around in a nice car. You know, your car's always parked outside KFC every day with a parking ticket on. You know, you're not going out with us. You're not smelling a beer. You're not, do you know what I mean? Yeah, it just had peace, and I just, you know, I'm just there. I buy one car, I want the next car, I want a bigger car, I want a bigger house, or, you know, and there's no fulfillment. So, you know, he taught me that there was a bit more to life than just things, and you know, obviously he was a born again Christian. I thought, I want what he's got. And I can remember one time, and probably this was a key moment. I can remember one time when I was sat at home, and I'm not sure exactly when it was, but back in the day we were winning everything. It might have been not long after winning a Challenge Cup, and I can remember sat, you know, in the house on my own and just contemplating doing something really, really silly. And, you know, everybody saw me as, you know, he's just scored a hat-trick, he's played at Wembley, he's lifting that, he's doing that. But back home, I was just so empty. I was so alone. I was so lonely. How can you be so lonely when you've just performed in front of 80,000 people? You've just scored a hat-trick. You've just played in a World Cup. But that's how my life was, and that's this is where a lot of people get caught out, because most people outside are thinking, wow, I want his life. He drives a nice car, he's got nice clothes, he's bought that new house. But they don't see actually who you are, what you are. They just see a facade. Do you know what I mean? It's easy to come into training and say, how are you doing? I'm all right. Yeah, how are you? You know, and then go back home and think, oh dear me. You know what I mean? How long I've got to wait until I get back into work, or you know what I mean? And I started to drink a lot, and I can remember just sat there and just thinking, I've had enough. But and you, why would you think that? You've just signed this contract, you know, you've got the world at your feet, and that's what Inga said to me. He said, I dream about you, and I watched it, and as I watched it, the world was at your feet.
That's what he said to you?
Yeah. And he says, as I continued to watch, he said the world started crumbling from under your feet. And it was just like a massive slap in the face to say, yeah, I have got the world at my feet. So many things are going really well, but there's so many things that I'm really struggling with. And I didn't get any help for that. Nowadays, you can get help, you know, from people. People identify, you know, it's kind of, now you can own up and say, yeah, I am struggling. But back in the day, you didn't say you were struggling. You didn't say you had problems, whether it be, you know, marital. You didn't say whether you're struggling with this, that, and the other, struggling with drink and that. Because actually, it was good to be drunk all the time. You know, I got some credibility for being able to have the yellow jersey because I could drink so much. But the reality is, there was a part of me that was dying and struggling. And when Inga came in, he just showed me that there was another way. And I had so much respect for him, because when you're around 40, 50 guys every day, the peer pressure is huge. I've never been in any environment where the peer pressure is as high. And for you to say no to the boys, you'd say no to your missus or whatever, I ain't coming, I'm going out with the boys, and you'd take the flak when you got back.
Yeah.
But you would not say no to the boys back in the day. I don't care what it was, you would not say no. But the reality of that is, you know, I just got into a bit of a spiral, because I started drinking a lot, and then, you know, it's like, oh, I'm a bit down, oh, let's go for a beer, let's have a chat about it. Go down even further. You know, I needed somebody, and that's where Inga kind of got me, pulled me up and said, look, you know, there is another way. And I respected him so much, not because he said, like, you know, you've got to be a Christian, you've got to do this. It was because he kind of just lived it. You know,
Yeah.
It was just like, this was just normal. And it's not to say that he didn't have problems of his own, but a lot of the things that I was chasing, you know, like the money, like the cars, and, you know, who really cares? You know, as long as the main thing is that you're happy and you're content. And unfortunately at that time, you know, I didn't know what that was, and that's why he made such a positive impact in my life.